Hi everybody. This is just a summary regarding your quiz test review, which your test will be two parts, Friday and Monday. So problems 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You need to solve for the equation or the inequality. Problem 1, we told you to change the greater than or equal sign to a straight up equal sign. Now be careful with problem 1 because your variable terms will knock each other out, yet you'll have one number set equal to a different number. And you need to ask yourself, can this ever happen? If the two numbers are not equal, then you have no solution. If the two numbers are equal, then you have infinitely many solutions. We did talk about this earlier this quarter regarding solving for an equation, variables on both sides. Number 2, your hint, use the distributive property. Then variables on one side, constant terms on the other side. Number 3, distribute property. Both cases. And you also need to combine like terms on each side of the equal sign before separating variables with non-variables. Number 4, get your variables on one side, get your non-variables on the other, and from there, simplify. Number 5, inequality. Again, variable on one side, non-variable on the other. Number 6, do your cross multiplication. So 4 in parentheses x minus 3 equals 6 parentheses x minus 18. Page 2. Word problems. I know we haven't seen this in a while. So 1 and 2, you're going to set up the equation given the written work. 3 is also a word problem. Here, perimeter, remember you add your 4 sides. Add your 4 sides and set equal to 95. And you solve for the variable. Number 4, this is an inequality. We did this last week. You're going to have a base amount plus your rate times frequency, and then you have your inequality and your result. You need to determine what will be your variable. The variable is what you are trying to find. Number 5 is the same way. Again, look at your notes from last week or the week before. It was within the last week and a half. We did problems exactly like 4 and 5. Number 6, also the same. Again, for your variable, try to determine what you are trying to find. And then look at your key phrases such as at least, at most, less than, greater than, no more than, no less than. Think about those phrases. That'll determine whether you need a less than, greater than, less than or equal sign, or greater than or equal sign. Page 3. This was from the very beginning. These are your properties. So number 7, number 8, 9, 10, Those are your properties. Look at each step. Look at what's taking place. Our property foldable was at the beginning of the quarter. The beginning of unit 2. Number 11, number 12, 11, no solution. So we need to figure out, what do we know to fill for these 2 boxes? And what do we need to fill for these 2 boxes? I'll give you a hint for number 11. Look at problem 1 on the first page. That will help you determine what numbers you could put here and here. Now, number 12, similar situation, but we will need to figure out what is the situation going on with these 2 numbers and these 2 numbers respectively. If you can do that, you'll figure out infinite number solutions. So that means x could be anything. You're going to get equal amounts on both sides. Whereas back to 11, the solution is no solution, because no matter what value you choose for x, the 2 sides will never equal each other. Last but not least, problems 13, 14, 15, 16. You need to solve for the variable. It's sort of like what you were doing on your project, sort of like what we did on the most recent quiz. Again, you need to highlight the variable. Highlight the variable you are trying to isolate. And again, use the properties to help. And then for 16, you may need to, once you solve for x, you might have to use the heart method, to where one side will simplify into an integer, a whole number, and the other term will be left as either improper fraction or just a plain fraction. 17 and 18. So again, solve first as a graph. Your graph will look something like this. You have an x, and I'm not saying this is the solution for either of these, but the graph, you're going to have arrow left and right. Your number, I'll just say 3, 2, 4. So your graph, it could be either open or it could be closed. And then your arrow may go to the left or right. In this case, right. Or it could be left. And then interval notation. So set builder notation. This is where you will have, for set builder, actually we will use this example. So pretend that's our graph. We'll say, in fact, I'm going to use different color arrows to differentiate the situations. So regarding set builder, it's similar to your algebraic, because once you have this algebraic, the set builder will be in the form of x, vertical bar for up and down, and then whatever your graph or your algebraic result describes. So for the red arrow, we'll say x is less than 3. and I will denote this in red. Now you could have another case where for set builder, it could also be, could describe the black arrow. So in this case, set builder is, oops, let me find the right button, X such that X is greater than or equal to +3. Now, for your interval notation, so in the case of the first problem, with the red, since your arrow is going to the left and you have, what will happen is, since it's going to the left, you're going to have negative infinity. That's the lowest possible result for that one in red. I'm going to have to write it out because I cannot type in the negative infinity symbol. In your interval notation, parentheses, the arrows to the left, negative infinity, and again, parentheses. Since it's an open circle, you use parentheses and the number 3. Now, interval notation for this case is the following. You will, let me type in interval notation. Make this smaller. And then, oops, sorry about that. Let's go back here. My apology, interval notation. And then here, you will use the bracket this time because closed circle is a bracket. And since we start at negative and +3, it includes +3, comma, we're going to end at positive infinity. So we have our infinity symbol, and then close parentheses. That's your interval notation. So interval notation, you're going to have parentheses, brackets. You'll either have a negative infinity, if it's a less than or a less than equal, positive infinity, if it's a greater than or equal, and either close parentheses if it's open circle, or if it's closed circle, then you have a bracket. We will go over this quiz review on Thursday, so please try your best to work on these questions, and we'll talk about them more on Thursday. Thank you so much.